Hello students, today we are going to discuss process of communication. The root word communication has been derived from the Latin word communis or communicare. Both these words means to share or to make common. According to G.G. Brown, communication is transfer of information from one person to another, whether or not it elicits confidence. But the information transferred must be understandable to the receiver. Again, let us define it broadly. Communication is giving, receiving, or exchanging ideas, information, signals, or messages through appropriate media, enabling individuals or groups to persuade, to seek information, to give information, or to express emotions. In this definition, we can find the objectives of the communication process also. Why man communicate? Either to persuade, to convince, to seek some information, or to give information, or to express his or her emotions. This broad definition includes body language, skills of speaking and writing. It outlines the objectives of communication. It also emphasizes listening as an important aspect of communication. To this we can add paying attention is also an important aspect of communication. In order to better understand the communication process, we can break it down into a series of 8 essential components. And these are the source, message, channel, receiver, feedback, environment, context, and interference. Let us try to discuss one by one. The source or the sender. The source imagines, creates, and sends the message. In a public speaking situation, the source is the person giving the speech. He or she conveys the message by sharing new information with the audience. The speaker also conveys a message through his or her tone of voice, body language, and choice of clothing. Thus, we can say the sender is the initiator of the communication. When you text a friend, you are the source. When you ask a question to the teacher, you are the sender of the message. Receiver. Who is the receiver? The receiver is the recipient of the message. The receiver receives the message from the source, analyzing and interpreting the message in ways both intended and unintended by the source. Just as the sender has to encode the message before sending it, the receiver must decode messages in ways that are meaningful to them. The receiver must encode both the verbal and non-verbal communication in ways that are meaningful to him or her. Now about the message. The message is the stimulus or meaning produced by the source for the receiver or audience. It is the particular meaning or content the sender wishes the receiver to understand. The message can be intentional or unintentional, written or spoken, verbal or non-verbal, or any combination of this. For example, when you plan to give a speech or write a report, your message may seem to be the only words you choose that will convey your meaning. But that is just the beginning. The words are brought together with grammar and organization. You may choose to save your most important point for the last. The message also consists of the way you say it in a speech, with your tone of voice, your body language, and your appearance, and in a report, with your writing style, punctuation, and the heading and formatting you choose. In addition, part of the message may be the environment or context you present it in and the noise that might make your message hard to hear or see. Now comes the channel. A channel is a method a sender uses to send a message to a receiver. The channel is the way in which a message or messages travel between source and receiver. The most common channels humans use are verbal and nonverbal communication. Verbal communication relies on language and includes speaking, writing, and sign language. Non-verbal communication includes gestures, facial expressions, paralanguage, and touch. Noise is anything that interferes with the sending or receiving of a message. Noise might be external or it might be internal also. When a loud noise is coming from outside, that is an internal noise. And if the sender or the receiver are in physical pain, psychological stress or nervousness, then it is said to be internal noise. And both external noise and internal noise act as barrier in the process of successful communication. Both this type of noises make encoding and decoding messages more difficult. Noise is in every communication context, and therefore no message is received exactly as it is transmitted by a sender, because noise distorts it in one way or another. A major criticism of the linear model of communication is that it suggests communication only occurs in one direction. It also does not show how context or our personal experiences impact communication. To explain this better, the linear model of communication says that the communication process is a one-way traffic. You just deliver the message, but you are not sure whether the message has been delivered properly or the way you have intended to. Just like a television series. When you watch a television, you get the message, but you cannot give your feedback or talk back to the television set. Given the limitations of the linear model, Barland adapted the model to more fully represent what occurs in most human communication exchanges. And this model, the modern model, is called the transactional model or two-way communication. This model demonstrates that communication participants act as senders and receivers simultaneously, creating reality through their interactions. In this model, they have added another component that is called the feedback. Only on receiving the feedback, the communication process is said to be complete. What is feedback? It's the ability for both parties to provide a response or return in the process. Additionally, it suggests that meaning is co-constructed between all parties involved in any given communication interaction. This notion of co-constructed meaning is drawn from the relational, social, and cultural contexts that make up our communication environments. Thus, we understand that communication is not a simple one-way transmission of a message. The personal filters and experiences of the participants impact each communication exchange. The transactional model, on the other hand, demonstrates that we are simultaneously senders and receivers, and that noise and personal filters always influence the outcomes of every communication exchange. Thus, the transactional model serves to be the clear model or the full picture of the communication process. I hope you have understood the process of communication. Thank you.